So in today's lesson, we're going to be looking at how to solve equations with variables on both sides of the equal sign. We haven't looked at this type yet, but you'll notice that it'll follow most of what we've been doing throughout this unit. Again, I'm going to be using the graphic organizer today. So if you have the graphic organizer in front of you, you can follow along while I do the first problem. And if you don't have the graphic organizer in front of you, you should be able to access it from my website. You'll notice with the graphic organizer that the steps are listed down the right-hand side for you. They're not listed down the right-hand side here on the video, but you'll notice that I'll reference them as we go along. I'm going to work through the first problem with you, and then you have the second one on the graphic organizer to check, to try yourself and to check with if you would like. So we're going to look at this first problem here. As always, the goal is to get that variable by itself on one side of the equal sign. So in this case, you'll notice that I have two variables, one on the right and one on the left, both of them with a d. I need to get both of those variables to the same side. Okay, whatever side I want that to be, but I have to get them both to the same side. Typically, we like our variables on the left. So that's what I'm going to do. And we'll get there in a minute. But first, as always, we need to make sure we change any subtraction to plus the opposite. In this case, we don't have any. Next step that you always want to look for is you want to look for anything with the distributive property in it, the parentheses. In this case, we don't have any parentheses, so again, we can continue to move on. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to get the variables on both sides of the equation. I'm going to take the 5d from the left, and I'm going to move from the right, and I'm going to move it to the left by adding the opposite. That's how we get things to cross the equal sign, by adding the opposite. So what that's going to give me now is the 8. The 8 has nothing done with it because it's not a like term with the d. But I'm going to add the 4d and the negative 5d together, giving me negative 1d. And here's where the trick comes in, because you'll notice that everything on the right-hand side has crossed out. It's gone away. Well, I still need to use a number to represent the fact that that's gone all away. I can't just leave it as a blank open space. There is still something over there. And in this case, the thing that's over there is 0. Now that we have the variables on the same side, they've been combined together to give me this 1d. Now that they're together, I can solve this like normal. Move the piece without the variable first by adding the opposite. So I'm going to add negative 8 to each side. So negative 1d, 0 plus negative 8 gives me negative 8. Now I'm going to divide each side by negative 1 to undo the multiplication. Two negatives are going to give me a positive 8 as my final answer. Again, we also always need to check. Everywhere we see d, we're going to plug in negative 8. So 8 plus 4 times negative 8 equals 5 times negative 8. Order of operations says we need to do our multiplication first. 4 plus negative 8 is negative 32. And 5 and negative 8 is negative 40. And as you notice, 8 plus negative 32, that's not going to give me negative 40. So we're actually going to talk right now about the process of checking and why it's important. So we have to go back and look and catch our mistakes. I don't know if anyone was actually able to catch it for me as you were listening, but this should be a positive 8, and when I plugged it in to check it, I made it a negative 8, and it should have been a positive. And a lot of times, that is what is so simple about your mistakes. They're nothing major. It's not that you did the process wrong. It's not that you multiplied wrong. It's just that you forgot a sign somewhere. And you'll notice when I noticed my mistake was wrong, it wasn't checking, I didn't go back and erase my entire problem. because sometimes I can catch it and just make little adjustments. You don't have to go back and start from scratch. I'd actually prefer that you didn't. So now to finish this problem, 8 plus positive 32, this is looking a little better this time, is going to give me positive 40 on each side, and my answer does check. So that's how we work with the variable on both sides. Again, use this example to help you. You have a practice problem on the graphic organizer that you can look at. You have the steps that are going down the right-hand side of your sheet, which will also be very beneficial to you as you work through these problems.